Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः ओम Namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste Guruji, pranam.
Pranam. So before I start, request all of you again to please mark the attendance so that I know who are all present in today's class. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karabhubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasa Karma Yogo Visishyate. So as we were saying in the last class, chapters 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 4. In these three chapters, the main teaching of Lord Krishna was that when it comes to the sadhanas, that is Karma Yoga sadhana and Jnana Yoga sadhanas, there was no choice. If your goal is moksha, liberation, both the sadhanas are equally important. A spiritual seeker has to first engage in Karma Yoga sadhanas, gain Chitta Shuddhi, pursue Jnana Yoga, and attain moksha. There was no choice. So everyone has to go through Karma Yoga and everyone has to go through Jnana Yoga also. Whereas, when it comes to Nishta, the lifestyle, a person has got a choice between two types of lifestyles. A human being can get married and lead a life of grihastha, or a human being can become a monk, a sannyasi, and live a life of seclusion. Both lifestyles are conducive for moksha pursuit, and both lifestyles have their own plus points and minus points. There are challenges in both the lifestyles. But one can choose one of the lifestyles and still have moksha as the goal. Now, as we saw, Arjuna is faced with a dilemma. So far as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga is concerned, there is no choice, so he need not take any decision in that. But when it comes to Nishtha or the lifestyle, he has to choose one lifestyle. He has to choose between Grihastha and Sannyasa Ashrama. Unlike most of us, most human beings, Arjuna is wary of taking this decision, lest it turns out to be disadvantageous. Therefore, he wants to lob the ball of decision making in Krishna's court. Safe, Because if Arjuna blindly follows what Krishna prescribes, then Arjuna will be absolved of the responsibility for the consequences if the decision turns out to be incorrect. If it is in his favor, Arjuna will claim the credit. You see, I took the right decision. If it turns out to be incorrect, then you say, oh, it was Krishna. Because Krishna told, I did it. So with this end in view, he asked Krishna, Etayoho, between these two choices of Grihastha and Sannyasa Ashrama, Yat Shreyaha, that which is good for me, Tat Ekam, that one, Me Sunishchitam Bruhi, tell me in definite terms. Don't give me an evasive answer. Don't play with words like you did in the 3rd chapter. Don't do that. Give me a specific answer. Now, when Arjuna says this, it will be a moment of frustration for any teacher, isn't it? After all the teachings in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th chapter, Arjuna does not seem to have understood what was taught and is still confused. And therefore, as a compassionate guru, Krishna starts teaching all over again and states in very clear terms that while both sannyasa and grihastha are conducive to liberation, among these two, karma yoga, referring to the grihastha is better than sannyasa. We have to note an important point. Krishna is still not taking any decision on behalf of Arjuna. As a guru, he will never do it. He is a guru, is a guide. He will tell all the pros and cons. Decision has to be taken by the seeker himself, by the student himself. So, Krishna will highlight all the pros and cons of the two ashramas. These are the advantages in this, these are the disadvantages. And then leave it to Arjuna to decide for himself. So here, taking into account Arjuna's adhikaritvam at present, the qualification of Arjuna at present for Vedanta teaching, Krishna says, karma sannyasat karma yoga visishyate. Karma yoga or grihastha is better than karma sannyasat, better than sannyasa ashrama. Now, here, there is a message for all these things. What is the message? The first message is for the student. In the initial stages of learning or getting into Vedanta and learning the message of the Upanishads, which of course in Bhagavad Gita is given to us on a platter, simplified manner, it will be difficult for student to understand. It's not a very easy subject matter. It's not a story. This learning not only involves an intellectual exercise at the top layer, but when you go little down, it involves a complete transformation of one's personality. So the teaching has to drip down, go into the personality, get accepted by the intellect that this is the right thing that I need to do, and then transform one's personality itself. All this is not going to be easy. Normally, human tendency is that it resists any change. We have seen examples of that. Natural for humans to resist any change. And when it comes to spirituality, the demands of this spiritual path are so much that it involves a lot of changes in the personality, in the attitude, in your behavior, in your relating to other people. Lot of changes. And it is not easy. Doubts will still keep coming up. That is why the message is learn it once, learn it twice, learn it thrice. Not enough. You have to keep on repeating the learning till you reach a stage where you are comfortable with what is being taught. This is the message for the student. Once you become comfortable and understand the underlying principle, the underlying message which is being taught, then the whole acceptance will come and everything will become very crystal clear. This is the message for the student. So if a student need not despair, oh, what Acharya is teaching, nothing goes into my head. I've got so many doubts still. Am I in the wrong class? Arjuna is typically representing that, and that is why even after repeating the teaching twice, Arjuna still has got doubts. What is the message for the gurus? The message for the guru is never ever get frustrated with the student's questions, with the student's diffidence. If he is a serious, committed student, there will be a turnaround. Continue with the process of teaching. Be patient. Tons of patience Guru requires. He needs to be, and the patience will come only when there is compassion. When we are tending to some sick old person who is bedridden, and when we take care of all the needs of that person, it is because of what? It is because of the compassion in our heart that this person is helpless and I can do whatever I can to help this person to better his life's condition. Similarly, a guru should understand this poor Shishya is helpless. He is caught in this wheel or the shackles of samsara so badly. He is no better than the patient who is bedridden. I, as a guru, should try my best, have a lot of patience, compassion, and I should help him to the maximum extent possible within my ability and with the resources in my command, at my command. These are the two messages, one for the student, another for the guru, we get from this 5th chapter beginning. And in the context of this, we were discussing the comparative advantages and disadvantages of both Grihastha and Sannyasa towards the end of last class. And I was mentioning that when we study the scriptures, we will find that in some places, Grihastha is glorified, and at other places, Sannyasa ashrama is held in high esteem. That is why in Smriti Granthas like Bhagavad Gita, etc., which is meant for general public, who will mostly be Manda Adhikaris, beginners, who have no exposure to Shastra. For them, these Smriti Granthas like Bhagavad Gita, etc., are very useful. Simple language, simple message. Too much of tarka not involved. Little bit tarka will be there. Not too much. Whereas Upanishads always addresses the mature people. And therefore, we will find that Upanishads always glorify sannyasa. So Bhagavad Gita glorifies Grihastha Upanishads glorify sannyasa. And to understand the message of the Upanishad, one needs to be at least a Madhyama Adhikari, must have the capability of studying the Upanishads, preferably with Bhashyam, for which a fair knowledge of Sanskrit language is also considered necessary. And that is why, most Acharyas in the Parampara, including Swami Paramathananda, you see, they do not teach Bhashyam in public. They do hold Bhashyam classes for select students whom they feel can absorb the message of the Upanishads. Message is the same. What the message in Bhagavad Gita is the same message in Upanishad. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita, it's little more diluted. Upanishads concentrated form. And Upanishad, if they repeatedly talk about sannyasa and glorify it, what will happen? Grihasthas will develop doubts. And some of them may even develop an inferiority complex. Oh my God, I've already married, I've got children, got a family. In this janma, I cannot take sannyasa, I cannot. So maybe I'm an inferior, this birth is an inferior birth for me. Such thoughts will come there. Many people, as I told you in the last class or the one before, I know of, have approached Swami Dayanand Saraswati requesting him to give sannyasa to them. He has refused. He has asked them to go back to Grihastha and complete their responsibilities there. Such people would feel that, okay, sannyasa is not there for me. Maybe I should do more. I mean, this kind of complex could develop. And for such people, this Bhagavad Gita, etc., is very good. Because biggest advantage of Bhagavad Gita and all is, Krishna is a Grihastha. In fact, Krishna is a Mahagrihastha because he is reported to have some 16,000 wives or something like that. Here we struggle to manage one. He has been managing 16,000. Arjuna is also a Grihastha, Guru is a Grihastha, Shishya is a Grihastha. And the author of Gita, Vyasacharya, is also a Grihastha. So when a Grihastha teaches another Grihastha, that which is compiled by a Grihastha, the Grihastha student will be able to relate to the subject matter easily. And therefore, it is ideal to teach the society, to teach the common people texts like Bhagavad Gita. Of course, we find Grihastha Acharyas in the Upanishads also. Upanishad structure is different. I will talk about it when we have the opportunity. What is the structure of Upanishad? So, Krishna says, Karma Yoga Visishyate. Arjuna, in your stage, present stage in life, Karma Yoga is the best for you. I mean, he does not say it is best for you. He says Karma Yoga is better compared to sannyasa. Now Arjuna has to decide, despite all this, whether he wants to take sannyasa or he run away from the battlefield to take sannyasa, or stay in the battlefield, fight, fulfill his swadharma as a kshatriya, which is nothing but karma yoga, perform karma yoga. Now Krishna continues. Yeyasa nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Hey Mahabaho, Anvaya I am giving her. Hey Mahabaho, Saha Yaha na dveshti na, you can add cha, kankshati, nyeyaha nitya sannyasi. He nirdvandvaha bandhat sukham pramuchyate. Hey Mahabaho, Arjuna, Saha, he, yaha na dveshti, who does not hate, nacha kankshati, and who does not have desires. Nyeyaha is to be known, nitya sannyasi, as a permanent sannyasi. He, because nirdvandvaha, one who is beyond the pairs of opposites, pramuchyate, is completely freed, bandhat, from bondage, sukham, effortlessly. So, O Arjuna, he who does not hate and does not desire is to be known as a permanent sannyasi, because one who is beyond the pairs of opposites is completely freed from bondage effortlessly. Now, when someone hears the advantages of both grihastha and sannyasa ashrama, that person may wonder whether there was any method by which advantages of both the ashramas can be got. Again, human tendency, isn't it? We always want the best of all the worlds. Most of us want to have the cake and eat it too, as it is said. So is there any method by which I can be a grihastha and also enjoy the advantages of sannyasa ashrama? And Krishna intuitively knows that Arjuna must also be thinking in those terms. And so he says, there is a method. You can remain in grihastha ashrama and enjoy the advantages of sannyasa ashrama. What is that method? Very simple advice. He says, learn to handle your raga dveshas, your desires and your hatred. Raga dveshas alone makes grihastha burdensome. There are so many situations which are beyond our control, because in grihastha our life is governed by so many people who are around. For a sannyasi, there is no problem. His life is not governed by wife or children or relatives for that matter, including uncles and aunties. Sannyasi's life is also not influenced by many factors because it does not have any relationship with so many factors. No possessions, no house, no car, nothing. But in the case of a grihastha there are so many factors, both animate and inanimate. The Jyotisha Shastra says that a human being's life is governed by 9 planets. And a planet is that which controls you and on which you have no control. And it is humorously said that Jamata Dashamo Grihaha. Jamata means a son-in-law. Of course, it's talking about old times. These times there are very good son-in-laws. Jamata Dashamo Grihaha means once a Grihastha gets a son-in-law, there is a 10th planet which also influences your life on which you have got no influence. Because whatever the son-in-law does affects your daughter, but you cannot do anything about it. So like that, there are so many relationships. A huge relationship maze is created through marriage. And all these relationships are enmeshed in a huge web of ragas and dveshas, likes and dislikes, and which is what makes the life miserable. And therefore, if you want peace of mind, what you have to learn is how to manage your raga and dvesha. As an emotionally driven human being, you cannot do away with likes and dislikes. Therefore, you have to learn to adjust and manage, which itself requires a tremendous emotional strength. And therefore, Krishna says, a grihastha is a sannyasi if he has learned to handle raga, dveshas, likes and dislikes. Even a simple thing like attending the Gita classes on the Saturdays, you are about to log into Zoom and the doorbell rings and there is your neighbor wanting to spend the evening with you. Now, whether you decide to miss the class and entertain the neighbor or tell the neighbor that can we meet after 1 hour, I've got some urgent thing to do, can we meet after 1 hour? This, how you handle it, will depend upon your raga and dvesha. If you have raga for Gita classes, you will tell the neighbor, we will meet after an hour. But if you have got raga for the neighbor, then you will say, okay, Gita class, I will miss, so what? One class. So many people don't come. I will also not go today. That you will do. So, when you are faced with such situations, you have to very cleverly manage the situation. Therefore, in our day-to-day life, ragas and dveshas have to be constantly handled. There is a nice saying, Nivritta ragasya griham tapovanam. Nivritta ragasya griham tapovanam. If you handle your raga dveshas well, grihastha will become equal to sannyasa ashrama. The house itself is an ashrama for one who has managed raga dvesha. You don't need to go to Aavignidhi and places like that. Seeking spiritual peace of mind. Staying in your house itself, in your home itself, if you learn to handle your raga dvesha, your likes and dislikes, that is Aavignidhi for you. Now the moot question is how to handle raga dvesha. And this is the very common question everybody who is a grihastha who comes to these classes will have. I also had the same question. I used to question all the sannyasis, teachers, I used to tell them it is very easy for all of you to say all these things because you have no family, no responsibility, no children, nothing. You have no wife who will actually pester you to take her to a cinema or some musical kacheri and all that. I'm honestly telling you, I used to ask this question and they used to just smile. And I used to foolishly think that they are smiling because they don't have an answer. The smile itself was the answer. I didn't realize it at that time. Today I realize it. So the common question for all people who are grihasthas who come into this spiritual pursuit is, when grihastha ashrama is beset with lot of problems all over, how can a person follow spirituality? So we have to now, here Krishna gives the clue, the key, how to manage it. In grihastha ashrama, in fact, in any ashrama for that matter, but especially in grihastha ashrama, the primary problem is raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes that we have with regard to everything that we are involved. We have an expectation from everything we are associated with, right from the type of house. You have to go to somebody's house. Your spouse is telling, let us get ready and go. You don't want to go. You say, I don't like to come to their house. I don't like that person's face. Whenever I go there, he always talks some nonsense. He will try to show himself as something better than us, and he will try to put me down. I don't like to go to their house. Raga dvesha. We have expectations from the spouse. We have an image of an ideal spouse. And if our spouse does not fit into that image, we try to change the personality of the spouse. And if it doesn't work, we try to change the spouse itself. Similarly, we have a lot of expectations from children too. In fact, many of us, we try to realize many of our childhood dreams or the dreams of the youth through our children. Oh, I couldn't do this when I was young. I will persuade my son to do this or my daughter to do this. It is our dream. We are trying to live those dreams through our children. These are all practical problems which we may not pay attention to, but when you sit down and start thinking where these ragas and dveshas are coming, you will find that in everything that we do, there is an element of this raga, dvesha, which plays. And the tragedy is we seldom realize and accept that everyone is born with their own samskaras, their karmas. Everyone has got their own pluses and minuses. We never give allowance for all these things. We want everyone to understand us, but we don't try to understand everybody else. There was a Hindi movie, I think, if I'm not wrong, title, "Main aisa hi hoon." I am like this. So if somebody points something in you, you will say, "Main aisa hi hoon." I am like this only. But the same thing you don't accept from others. You want them to change, but you don't want to change. Therefore, what happens as a grihastha, I am involved in so many things, and with regard to everything, I have got an ideal in my mind. And when things fall apart, fall short of my ideal, it disturbs me tremendously. Therefore, we should know how to handle attachment and aversion. And therefore, Krishna says, Yo yaha na dveshti na kankshati. Dveshti means refers to dvesha, dislikes. Kankshati refers to likes, raga. So, the intelligent householder who knows to manage the raga and dvesha, the one who knows how to handle both of them, the one who has conquered both of them, the one who has mastered the management of raga and dvesha, that person is a nitya sannyasi. And Krishna tells such a grihastha will have as much peace of mind as a sannyasi can have. Now, what is the greatest advantage in sannyasa ashrama? A sannyasi does not have any duties for wife or children. Therefore, he will have quality time or both quantity time and quality time to pursue Vedanta. That is the advantage of sannyasa ashrama. He need not bother about children's education, their marriage. He owns no property or wealth, therefore need not worry about managing them. His mind is not clouded with a big to-do list. Oh, today I have to do this, tomorrow I have to do this, next week I have to do this. Nothing is there. There is no burden in his mind. Therefore, the advantage of sannyasa ashrama is a light mind. And Krishna says, if you know how to handle raga dvesha, you can also enjoy the same light mind as a sannyasi enjoys. And therefore, such a grihastha is as good as a sannyasi. The only difference is he does not have the saffron robes, which is called kavi. He is a kaviless sannyasi. So the one who has mastered the raga dvesha is a kaviless sannyasi. Therefore, saha nitya sannyasi, he says. And that is why in the scriptures, even we saw in the third chapter, Janakadayaha, he said, right? Janaka Maharaja is quoted as the best example of a grihastha sannyasi, a kaviless sannyasi. As the story goes, King Janaka was learning Vedanta from his guru along with other sannyasis who are all formal sannyasis, kavi clad sannyasis. Janaka was a kavi less sannyasi, but they were all learning Vedanta. Now, these sannyasis had an air about themselves. They felt, oh, we have renunciates. We have given up everything and taken sannyasa ashrama. Look at this King Janaka. He is a king, but still he does not have the mental strength to give up his kingdom and become a sannyasi. So those sannyasis looked down upon Janaka because he was a grihastha. As I told you in the last class, there are some sannyasis, and in fact some sects of sannyasis who look down upon grihasthas. In their view, grihasthas cannot be complete renunciates. And therefore, these sannyasis were looking down upon Janaka. But the Guru knew that even though a grihastha, Janaka was superior to all of them when it came to Viveka and Vairagya, two essential qualities of a sannyasi. And in order to reveal the superiority of Janaka, what the Guru did, Yeah, very powerful, I mean, he has got Maya under his control. He created an illusion of a huge fire in which the palace was burning. The thatched kutiyas of the sannyasis, which were having their meager possessions like, one more set of dress, kamandalu, etc. All that was also burning. When the sannyasis saw that their thatched huts burning, they were so attached to whatever meager possessions they had that they ran to save those possessions. And it appears that Janaka did not pay any attention to the burning of the palace. He was in the midst of learning. He was fully engrossed in the Vedanta teaching. Even if he was aware of the palace burning, he knew that there will be people to take care of the situation. And he himself had no attachment to possessions, including the palace. So this was going on. After some time, all the fire was doused, as though doused. And the Guru called back everybody. Then the sannyasis realized that the whole thing was an illusion. The Guru created such an illusion to teach a lesson. And they also realized how flimsy was their detachment from worldly possessions. Thus, the Guru taught them a great lesson relating to sannyasa by showcasing Janaka's true detachment from worldly possessions, even though he was a king. His surrender to Vedanta was total. So Krishna says, Saha Nitya Sannyasi. Saffron robes or kavi does not guarantee detachment. A person can have kashaya vastram. Kashaya vastram means saffron robes, right? And as Shankaracharya says in Bhajagovindam, Jatilo mundi lunchita kesha hai kashayambara bahukrita vesha hai pashyannapi chana pashyati mooda hai Yudara nimittam bahukrita vesha hai. He says there are so many so-called sannyasis. Either they have got matted locks, you can see sannyasis, matted locks, or who have clean shaven heads. Kashayambara bahukrita vesha. Some are clothed in orange, yet others in various colors, all just for a livelihood. Pashyannapi na cha pashyati moodaha. Even though the truth is revealed before them, still the foolish ones, the moodaha, they see it not. Yudara nimittam bahukrita vesha. All that, dress, everything, external changes which they make is all for what? Udara nimittam, for the sake of their stomach, for fulfilling their stomach, filling their stomach with food. They put all these dresses. So a person can have external dress of a sannyasi, but internally he may have attachment to everything. And therefore Krishna says, a grihastha is an inner sannyasi if he has mastered raga dvesha. And here also we have to note a very important point. Krishna does not say that you should not have raga dvesha. Mind you, Krishna does not say that you should not have raga dvesha, because a human being cannot exist without raga dvesha. We certainly will have lot of likes and lot of dislikes. As Puja Swamiji beautifully points out, even gods have got preferences and likes for some particular instruments. Saraswati likes the veena. If you give her a flute, she will not accept. She doesn't like a flute. Krishna does not choose veena, but chooses a flute. Similarly, the vehicles, the gods use. Ganesha, he has got a preference, a liking for a rat, type of rat which we call a shrew, munjur in Tamil. Whereas his brother, Lord Subramanya, has got a preference for what? A peacock. Shiva has got a preference for a snake, puts it in his neck like a necklace. So even gods have preferences to what to talk of human beings. And Krishna himself has said in the third chapter, Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavastitau. As long as your sense organs are functioning, there are sense objects in the world, likes and dislikes will be there. You will certainly have certain preferences in life, that is inevitable. In fact, the very definition of your personality is based upon your likes and dislikes. Well, these days, one thing has become very common. I see a boy and a girl wanting to get married want to discover the compatibility between them. What is the compatibility? So they ask each other questions. Which book you like, which dress you like, which author you like, which music you like, Northern, Bollywood music, or Carnatic classical or Western music. Do you like to go on treks? Do you like to go holidays? So many things, even games. Do you like Formula, F1? Do you like football? So they try to find, based upon the likes and dislikes of another person, a personality of that person is evaluated. So we try to understand the personality of others in terms of likes and dislikes only. And therefore, Krishna does not want you to get rid of likes and dislikes. All that Krishna says is, do not be a slave of your likes and dislikes. If you are able to fulfill them, wonderful. If you are not able to fulfill them, you should be able to have enough emotional strength to face such situations. Therefore, what? Mastery of likes and dislikes is converting all desires on all likes and dislikes into non-binding desires, non-binding dislikes. And this we have discussed in the third chapter itself. Have desires, but make those desires dharmic and non-binding. Non-binding desires means what? I want my child to become an IAS officer, or I want him to become this or that. Any parent, every parent can dream. But what the child eventually becomes is not under your control. With all your efforts, sending him to the best schools, the best colleges, the best universities, your son or daughter may end up as a sannyasi. In fact, many parents, including Swami Paramatmananda's parents, Swami Pujya Dayananda Saraswati's mother, would never perhaps have dreamt that their children will take to sannyasa. I know of a family where three siblings, three children of those parents, all of them have taken to sannyasa. Can you imagine? One child goes, okay, fine. All children taking to sannyasa. But that's the reality, whether you like it or not. For that reason, you cannot go and cry. Therefore, there is no harm in having dreams for children, but one must be ready to face whatever happens. One must develop that emotional strength to face whatever happens. This is called management of raga dvesha. Acceptance should not be out of frustration or feeling of helplessness, but acceptance should be out of the recognition, respect for the choice made by the children, respecting their decision without any remorse or hatred. If you are able to do that in every situation, here I gave the example of children, their preferences, etc. But if you sit and analyze every situation in your life, you have on the one hand your likes and dislikes. On the other hand, you have a situation, your experience against those likes and dislikes. Some may succeed, some may not succeed. If you are able to accept all that happens in your life without losing the smile in your face, you are no less than a sannyasi. Therefore, Krishna says, Hey Mahabaho, Hey Arjuna, Nirdvandva, that person who has managed the pairs of opposites, consisting of raga and dvesha, labha and nashta, mana, apamana, sanyoga, viyoga, all these pairs of opposites, one can handle, who is a master of pairs of opposites. Such a person, bandhat pramuchyate, he or she will definitely attain moksha without going through sannyasa ashrama. So remaining in grihastha ashrama itself, such a person can attain moksha. Of course, remaining grihastha ashrama and following the two sadhana, compulsory sadhanas, karma yoga and jnana yoga in the sequence. There is no escape from those. And he says, in such a case, moksha will be attained effortlessly. He says, sukham pramuchyate. Sukham here means effortlessly. Effortlessly, he will be liberated from the bondage of samsara. And the next sloka, Krishna concludes this topic of comparison of grihastha ashrama and sannyasa ashrama. Let us read the sloka. सांख्य योग पृथक बाला है प्रवदंति न पंडिता है एकमप्यास्थित सम्यक उभयोर विन्दते फलम. So the Anvaya is Balaha Pravadanti Sankhya Yogau Pritak iti na panditaha Astitah api ekam samyak pindate ubayoho phalam. Balaha, ignorant people, Pravadanti, assert that Sankhya Yoga, Sannyasa and Karma Yoga, Pritak are different. Na pandita hai, not the wise. Astitah api ekam, by resorting to any one of them, samyak properly, vindate, one attains, ubayoho phalam, the result of the both. So here Krishna says, Ignorant people assert that sannyasa and karma yoga are different, not the wise. By resorting to any one of them properly, one attains the results of both. So here Krishna concludes that both the ashramas are equally efficacious. Must note, Krishna does not talk about 4 ashramas here. He is talking only about 2 ashramas. He is taking only 2 ashramas into account. Ashrama, of course, we have seen is a way of life. And 2 ashramas Krishna has in mind is Grihastha ashrama, known as Pravritti Marga, and Sannyasa ashrama, known as Nivritti Marga, life of renunciation, life of seclusion. And Krishna does not take other ashramas into account because Brahmacharya ashrama is more like a preparation for Grihastha ashrama, more of a stepping stone for Grihastha ashrama. And therefore, Brahmacharya ashrama is included in the Grihastha ashrama. Similarly, Vanaprastha ashrama is a stepping stone for Sannyasa ashrama, and therefore, Vanaprastha ashrama is taken as integrally included in Sannyasa ashrama. So, therefore, what Krishna has done here, the 4 ashramas, he has essentially divided into 2 ashramas, Grihastha and Sannyasa. And Krishna says both ways of life are equally efficacious and nobody should compare and develop a superiority complex or an inferiority complex. Neither should a Grihastha feel he is superior to a sannyasi, nor should a sannyasi feel that he is superior to a Grihastha. And Krishna strongly wants, if a person says one of these two is superior to the other, that person is a bala hai, childish behavior, ignorant. Bala pravadanti. Bala, as I said, childish people, immature people, uninformed people. Only they pravadanti. The word pravadanti is a very, vadanti means say. Pravadanti has a different meaning, prattle or babble. So, balaha pravadanti. Only the ignorant people, the immature people, they prattle and say, Sankhya Yoga Pritak. Sankhya means sannyasa ashrama, life of seclusion. Yoga means grihastha ashrama, life of activities, life of responsibility, or life in the society. So such people, such immature people say these 2 ashramas are different. They are separate. They are not equal. They are unequal. One is superior to other. Iti balaha pravadanti. What about informed people? He says, na pandita hai. Wise people will never say that. And that is why in our tradition, we have got both Grihastha Guru Sishya Parampara and also we have got Sannyasi Guru Sishya Parampara. There are 2 different Sishya Paramparas are there. Mundaka Upanishad says, Om Brahma Devanam Pratamav Sambhabhuva Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta Sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtam Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha. First sloka. So, in Mundaka Upanishad, a Guru Sishya Parampara is given wherein the father is the Guru and Sishya is the son. They are all Grihasthas. It is said that the father taught the son. Jeshta Putraya Praha. Taitra Upanishad also. Bhrigur Vaivarunihi Varuna Pitaram Upasasara Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasma Etat Provacha. Again, the father is teaching the son. In fact, among all Upanishads, the most important portion is called Tattvamasi Prakaranam, where the teaching of Tattvamasi comes in Chandogya Upanishad. And this teaching takes place again between father and son. Shweta ketur haruneya asa tagum pito vacha tagum pito vacha. The greatest teaching of Tattvamasi took place in Grihastha between father and son. So thus the scriptures talk about Grihastha Jnani Parampara as well as Sannyasa Ashrama Jnani Parampara. That these two paramparas existed indicate that you can get jnanam in both Grihastha Ashrama as well as Sannyasa Ashrama. And therefore Krishna says, Ekam apyastitaha. Take any one of the lifestyles according to your inclination. Of course, Prarabdha also plays a role. More about that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. I hope you have all marked the attendance. If somebody fails to mark the attendance, I will mark it absent and then there will be some correspondence with you.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Very
Hari Om.
interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dhanyawad,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Lata here. So the question that you asked your gurus about how to handle Ragadvesha and you got smile as the answer. Are we going to get any better answer than the smile?
No.
No.
Because they will, when the Sishya asks such a question, the Guru knows it's all Bala, ignorant, he's not aware of the full thing. See, these kind of questions, they come up when you are in the initial stages. You have a feeling, oh, I know everything kind of a thing. You ask such questions. But then once you start learning, when you go deep into it, questions get answered themselves. Krishna has provided answers to all sorts of questions in Bhagavad Gita. Only thing is, we must have patience to go through and read the whole thing before asking the questions.
Yes, Guruji. Thank
No
you.
harm in asking questions. No Guru is going to, have raga, dvesha for asking questions or raga for not asking questions.
Yes, Guruji.
But he will respond in his own way. He is not going to, suppose he knows you are ignorant, you have not learned the full Bhagavad Gita. There is no point in explaining 5th chapter to you when you ask such a question, isn't it? So it will go through, so many things have to be covered. 2nd, 3rd, 4th chapter has to be covered before you come to the 5th chapter. So Guru will not get into that. He will say, if you are interested, committed, sincere, continue with the teaching, you will get the answers. Patience is required both on the part of Guru and Sishya.
Yes.
That is
Dhanyawad, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Any other question? Doesn't seem to be. Okay, then in which case, I will close the class and continue next week. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om,
Thank you,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Dhanyawad.
Hari Om.